Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Revolution Mindset Session 10, where we're going to be exploring how to break our comfort zone. Before we talk about how we break our comfort zone, we're first going to look at what a comfort zone is and whether or not we have a comfort zone. So some of us might not have a comfort zone. We might not need to explore this today, but today we're going to be looking at what comfort zones are all about and how we can get out and get past our fears and our limitations. If you're tuned in, please say hi, drop a comment in the comments box, let me know where you're tuning in from. And as always, let's start off by sharing our wins, our successes, our achievements over the past week. We are now in week 10 of our mindset program, Revolution Mindset program. So let's share what we're doing. Let's keep that momentum going. Let's keep that energy flowing so we can celebrate our achievements together. Adele, I can see you're tuned in. Thank you so much for being here. It's wonderful to see you. Let me know what you have achieved over this past week so we can really start to kick off and keep the energy flowing. So, what are we going to be covering in today's session? So what we're going to look at first is what is a comfort zone. You know, we hear a lot of people, we see a lot of content out there that says we need to get out of our comfort zone, we need to break our comfort zone, we need to get into the growth zone, we need to be in a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset, we need to step outside. But how many of us actually take the time to sit down and start to understand what a comfort zone actually is and what that looks like for us? So that's the first thing we're going to cover today. We're then going to look at the concept that we actually have multiple comfort zones. So we don't just have one comfort zone as an individual. There are multiple comfort zones that will cross many different various areas of our life. And then I'm going to share with you 5 steps to break the comfort zone. So 5 steps that you can follow to break your comfort zone and get out of that comfortable area that you're in. And then we're going to take this into our putting it into practice workshop. We're going to actually define one of our comfort zones. We're going to start to really go deep and explore our fears and limitations. And we're going to look at how we can overcome these fears and limitations and what we can do and how I can hold you accountable over the rest of this program so you can achieve what it is you're setting out to achieve. So I'm just going to come back to the comments, see if anybody's sharing any of their wins or any of their successes over the past week or over the 10 weeks. Let me know. So Adele saying I've been more of a support to others this week, friends and family. Thank you so much, Adele. You've been a huge support to me this week as well as I am on recovery. So thank you so much for that, Adele. I really appreciate you stepping in and I appreciate you doing everything with your friends and family as well. So we're going to celebrate that with some confetti as always. So if you are tuned in, say hi. If you want to share what your wins are, what your achievements are, so we can celebrate them together, then please drop them. If you're watching the replay, drop them in the comments box and we'll share them with you. I'll come back to each and every single comment to share them with you. So thank you so much for that, Adele. Little small wins for me on the recovery. That's good. I'm here today. I managed to plan this session and get live again. So for me, that is a win. So what did we look at in the last session? So remember, this 4 weeks, these 4 modules, these 4 sessions, are all around confidence. We're going to look at how we can start to build our confidence each week, and each session will be a building block on the last. So last session we looked at how confidence is a game of understanding. The more we know who we truly are, the more confident we become. And remember, we start to look at how we define people as confident and how confidence is subjective, in that only we ourselves can define whether or not we are confident. We need to ignore the words of others, ignore the thoughts and opinions of others, and only we ourselves can define whether or not we're confident. So that is what we covered in the last session. So as we kick off today's content, I want to open up with a quote from Bob Proctor. I think this is very topical for today's session. And Bob Proctor said that if your goal isn't scary and exciting, then it's not a big enough goal for you. So I'll say that again. If your goal isn't scary and exciting, then it isn't big enough goal for you. It's not a big enough goal for you. So if you're not feeling scared or excited about your goal, then maybe you've set the wrong goal, or the goal is just not big enough. Or maybe you're in your comfort zone and you're unconscious of your limitations and unconscious of your comfort zone, that your goal doesn't scare you. So today, let's think about our goals. Let's think about how we can make them big enough. Let's think how we can make them scary so we can expand our comfort zones and really make success this year and through this program. So the first question to open up, what is a comfort zone? How would you define a comfort zone? Let me know in the comments box, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching the replay. Let me know in the comments box, what is a comfort zone? How do you define it? You don't have to define it beautifully. Just say some words that come to mind when you start to think about the word comfort zone. As I mentioned, a lot of motivational speakers, a lot of coaches, a lot of content out there will tell you need to get out your comfort zone. You need to start to explore your growth and build on who you are as a person. You need to start to discover more about yourself. But how many times do we actually sit there and start to understand what a comfort zone is? It's a trap that we fall into personal growth and in motivational speaking, is we like to hang on and grab onto keywords, the buzzwords I like to call them, that trend across the internet, that trend across social media, but don't have any essence or any practicality towards it, where we actually sit down and think, right, what does this mean? It's great for me to sit here and say, you need to break your comfort zone. I could put out some posts, break your comfort zone, do this. But until we actually sit there, understand what a comfort zone is and how we can break it, we're never going to make that effort. We're never going to make that succeed. So if you're one of those people that sit there and say, I've read all these books, I've had all these coaches, I follow all these motivational speakers, but I'm not making progress, I'm not moving forward, it's because you're not taking what you're learning and you're not putting it into practice. And the purpose of this revolution mindset is for you to take back that personal power and to really start to put everything into practice. So Adele is saying that a comfort zone is the space where you're just cruising along, not challenged, and you're not growing or progressing. I love that, Adele. Some really key words in there. I like the cruising along as well. You're not challenged, you're not growing, and you're not progressing because you're stuck in the zone. Now, the reason why I'm asking this question, I'm getting us to start to think about what a comfort zone is because sometimes we might not even be aware that we're stuck in a comfort zone. We might just be, like you said, Adele, cruising along in life. We might just be settling down in certain places, in a relationship or in a career, in a job, and we just don't understand that what we're stuck in is a comfort zone. And there's reasons why we won't move out that comfort zone, which we're going to cover in today's session. So thank you for sharing that, Adele. If you're tuning in or you're watching the replay, please feel free to share your definition or just some words that come to mind when you're thinking of comfort zones. So comfort zone is a place in which we feel safe or at ease. So 3 points here for comfort zone. So a place in which we feel safe or at ease. It's a settled method of working that requires little effort and yields only barely acceptable results. So we're just settled into our way of working. We turn up because we get paid maybe in our job, or we do the bare minimum in our business, or whatever we do, just to get the wage check, just to get the money at the end of the month. And the results that we get are fairly average. We don't do anything big. We don't push ourselves to achieve greater. We don't go for any promotion in our job place. We don't look to expand or change the ways in which we do our business. So it's a settled method of working that requires little effort. So we really want to put as minimum effort as we can into it, and it yields only barely acceptable results. Now, if you're a coach and you're watching this, I want to remind you that 90% of coaching businesses fail. And one of the reasons that 90% of coaching businesses fail is because a lot of people get into this settled way of working. They want the littlest effort possible into the business. They have this dream or this ideology that they move from a 9 to 5 into a way where they can work how they want, when they want, but that's not the case. When you first set up your business, if you want to succeed, to get past those first 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you have to put more work in than you do in a 9 to 5 job. So I just want to share that with you because I know I get a lot of coaches watching these sessions. So remember, 90% of coaching businesses fail within the first 2 years, and it's because they're settled into a comfort zone and they're just looking for very little effort, to put very little effort into their business. So just a key point extra for coaches there. And finally, the third point is a comfort zone is a place in which your growth is limited. There's no growth in a comfort zone. You're not going to learn more about yourself. You're not going to grow. You're not going to get that promotion at work. You're not going to increase or improve your relationship. You're not going to get anywhere when you're stuck in your comfort zone. So that is what a comfort zone is. If you do have any questions, drop them in the comments box below as we move on to the next slide. So why do we stay in our comfort zone? So we know if there's no growth there, it's an area of comfort, an area of ease, it's a settled method of working. Why do we stay there? Why don't we want to expand our comfort zone? And I did a talk a few years ago on comfort zones when I was first getting into motivational speaking. And I used the analogy of the circumference of a circle to be our kind of the formula for growing your comfort zone. So pi r squared. So if those of you are into maths, pi r squared is how you calculate the circumference of a circle. So you replace the r with your comfort zone and you times that by squared, and the bigger that comfort zone gets, the bigger you expand. So just wanted to share that today. But why do we stay in our comfort zone when we know there's no growth, when we know that we're settled, when we know that it's just easy for us? First of all, is because we feel comfortable or settled. You know, maybe we're not happy. There's feelings of unhappy. I'm going to talk about a different zone in a second, but we feel comfortable, and we don't like that expanding. You know, expansion, growth is an uncomfortable feeling at first until you start to get into the flow. So we don't want to move into that uncomfortable feeling. We don't want to feel unsettled or unnerved. So we stay in our comfort zone. The next reason is we are scared to take risks. We are scared to risk. We're scared to step out because we don't know what's on the other side of our comfort zone. We don't know what dangers we're going to face, what we might lose by stepping out there. We're scared to take risks. The third is that we either feel lost or unsure in what we want. And because we feel lost or unsure in what we want, we cannot actually define what our comfort zone looks like because we don't know what we're doing right now. We don't know what direction our life's going in, so we can't define our comfort zone. Because we can't define the comfort zone, we cannot expand it, we cannot break it, we cannot step outside of it. Fourth is we are unaware or unconscious of our limitations or fears. So we might just be so engrossed in what we do day to day, feeling unhappy, feeling a little bit dissatisfied, feeling unfulfilled, and just telling ourselves in our mind that this is life, you know, but that is not life, you know. When we say that, we are becoming unaware and unconscious that the limitations that we have, and we're not maximizing our full potential. So the fourth reason is that we are unaware or unconscious of our limitations. And finally, it's because we don't like change. If we don't like change, we don't want to step outside our comfort zone. Sometimes change forces that comfort zone to expand. We really don't like it, and we do the best we can just to go back and stay here. I don't want to change what I do. I don't want to do something new. I don't want this. I don't want to go with the change. I want to stay in what I know. So because we don't like change, we cause suffering. This was what caused suffering as well. It's where to suffer as an individual is changes happening around you, but you are trying to grasp onto your comfort zone. You don't want to step out into something new. So those are 5 reasons why we stay in our comfort zone. If you can think of anything else that we do to stay in our comfort zone, then please add it in the comments box below. But that's why we stay in our comfort zone. Now, before we go in and start to explore a little bit more on how we can, so we've looked at what comfort zones are, we've looked at why we stay in the comfort zone. I just want to caveat something here. Now, I don't want you to confuse a comfort zone with contentment, a content zone. Now, if you have found a state of happiness and peace in what you do, do not disturb it with unnecessary ambition. Now, contentment is the best thing that you can find in life. When you find happiness and peace and stillness in what you do, that's not comfort. Comfort, there needs to be feelings of unsatisfaction, needs to be feelings of happiness. There needs to be feeling. If you're happy in what you do and you don't want to grow a business, you don't want to get more sales, you don't want to build on your relationship, you don't want to build on your life because you're content with what you have right now, then please ignore the rest of this session, go away and enjoy yourself. Because what I don't want you to think is that when you have that contentment, you need ambition and you need to grow it. If you are happy in where you're at, don't confuse comfort with contentment. It's very, very important. I've seen this happen before. So don't confuse contentment with comfort. So on that, we want to look at I do have a quote here before I share the multiple comfort zones. So comfort zone is a place of ease that holds unhappiness or negative feelings. Never confuse comfort with contentment. So if you're happy and you're at peace in what you do, then continue what you do because you have reached the highest state of contentment that you can reach in life with everything you do. So please don't think that your content zone is a comfort zone. So the other thing I want to put across today is that we have multiple comfort zones. So multiple comfort zones, every time we have a goal, we could have a comfort zone with regards to that goal, some kind of fear, some kind of limitation that we have surrounding that goal, and we can fall into a state of ease and comfort within that goal. Whether it's in relationships, I've just put 3 examples on here. Whether it's in your relationship and you're settled in your relationship, maybe you're in a relationship that's not good for you. Maybe you know you need to leave that relationship, but you've been in it for 3, 4, 5 years, maybe longer, and to change it is scary. There's too much risks. Even though it's not good for you, you decide to settle and stay there. The same with your career. Maybe you don't want to move to a different company because you don't know what's on the other side. You don't know what the other company's going to bring. Maybe you don't want to go to that promotion because you're scared of the responsibility that it carries. We can get a comfort zone in our career or our business. Again, maybe you don't want to make a pivot in your business, even though change is forcing you to do that. You become comfortable and settled in what you do in your day-to-day routines or your business processes. Life goals, whatever life goal you have, whatever hobby or new skill that you're growing, that can contain a comfort zone. Think of something that you used to do. Maybe everybody here who's tuned in, watching the replay, if you haven't, then you can think about this as an analogy as well. But a good analogy to use is swimming. When we used to swim as kids, when we learned how to swim, we had a comfort zone. First of all, we're scared to jump in the water. We're scared on how the water feels. We don't know what we're going to do, so we start in the shallow end, and maybe we feel uncomfortable if the water's above our chest, above our neck. We need to have our feet firmly on the ground, and then we can start to slowly build, learn different swimming techniques, learn that our body's adapted to float, and we build on that comfort zone. So any skill, same with driving as well. Those who have learned how to drive, we start off with a comfort zone, we expand and build on that comfort zone, and then eventually we break it to a point where we're in the growth and we're constantly growing and adapting to that area. So there are multiple comfort zones that we have. We don't just have one. So again, when motivational speakers, when coaches, when you're seeing content that says you need to get out your comfort zone, which comfort zone do you mean? Which comfort zone do you need to get out of? How do you define what does that comfort zone look like? Because you cannot break, you cannot step outside of something that you don't understand. So first of all, you need to understand you have multiple comfort zones, and then you need to start to dig deep and start to think of what that comfort zones are. What's your limitations behind that comfort zone, and what are the fears that's keeping you stuck or settled? So multiple comfort zones we have. And again, just quickly, negatives, confuse comfort content. Very important. So as I mentioned, we're going to look at 5 steps to break our comfort zone. We understood that a comfort zone is different from a content zone. So comfort zones are bad because they hold fears, negative feelings. We feel stuck, we feel unhappy. Contentment is a place of happiness and peace. Don't disturb that. How do we start to break these comfort zones? So 5 steps, and we're going to go into these into depth, in detail, in our Put Into Practice workshop, which is in 10 minutes time. So first of all, we define our comfort zone. So your area, maybe it's in your relationship, maybe it's in your business, maybe it's in your role, maybe it's with a goal that you have. For example, maybe you want to travel somewhere and you're scared of traveling. What is it that's stopping you? What does that comfort zone look like? How far can you stretch that comfort zone right now without getting those feelings of fear, that unease, that feeling of discomfort? What does that comfort zone actually look like? So we're going to define that in the workshop today. We then can start to look at our list of actions that would help us break it. So how do we break it? What can we do? What actions do we know that we need to do, but maybe we're not doing it because we're scared? That can help us break that. I'm going to start to list those actions. And then we're going to look at how taking a large risk action, or the action breaker, the comfort zone breaker, to really start to pull us out of the comfort zone. We're going to discuss this in a lot more detail in the workshop. So take a large risk action. So I'm going to give an example. So if you're scared of traveling and you have this dream, you don't want to travel alone, you're looking to travel with people, friends, family, you're waiting to find that perfect partner before you take that trip to South Asia or wherever. Taking a large risk action to push you out of that comfort zone, to really pull you, would be just to go online and book a flight to that destination where you want in 3-4 months' time. Just book it. You've taken a large risk action. Now you've committed yourself. You have to go through with it. Or you lose a lot of money that you booked for the flights. But by taking that big risk action, that large risk action, you are strengthening your commitment towards that goal, and you're already pulling yourself further out the comfort zone than you can imagine. And then from there, you can develop an action plan, little steps, big priority to get to where you want to expand that. And then you eventually you find the hotel, you find the hostel, whatever accommodation you want to stay in. You start to explore things you can do in the area. You put those small steps in. The next thing you know, you're on that flight to that destination, and you've expanded your comfort zone, and you are grown incredibly as a person. Now, I've used travel as an example there for those who are scared of traveling. That is a large step you can take, and that's how you can pull yourself out the comfort zone. But there are many comfort zones. As I mentioned, there's multiple comfort zones that we have in the workshop. We're going to explore yours, what action you can take to pull yourself out of there, and what develop an action plan with you to get there. So that is the 5 steps mentioned on this slide. Now, this isn't my graph on the internet. Stone's not a good word. I borrowed this for educational purposes from the internet. It's a common graph. I just didn't have the time to redefine it myself. You can see lots of other versions of it out there. It's a common model, but essentially, it's how by using those 5 steps, we can jump straight through. We can jump straight to the growth and start to fight through the fears and the learning zone. But it's not, as we mentioned earlier on, in the comfort zone where we feel safe and in control. Although we feel safe and in control, we feel feelings of unhappiness, we feel feelings of unfulfilled or dissatisfaction. So we're not very happy. Remember, don't confuse it with the content zone. We then want to move past our fears now to get into the next zone. It's called the fear zone. And that is where we have lack of confidence, and we're generally limited by the thoughts of others. We make excuses for ourselves. I don't have the money to go on that holiday, or I don't have the necessary skills to get that promotion, or this isn't the right time for me to get that promotion. It's not the right time for me to set up a YouTube channel. It's not the right time for me. I don't feel comfortable setting up my own business right now. So we enter the fear zone. This is where you find yourself in terms of deeper self-discovery, deeper self-awareness, a learning of new skills. You start to conquer those challenges and those limiting beliefs that you have. And eventually, if you don't continue with that, you'll fall back into the fear zone and then risk jumping back into the comfort zone, back into little. But if you continue and work, you'll finally find yourself in the growth zone where you've conquered those challenges, you're setting yourself new goals, you've found purpose, and you're living the life that you want. That is the growth zone, and it's a process that we go through. The hardest to get past is that fear zone, and that's what we're going to look at today in the workshop. I'll give you the challenge for the week. Whether you join the workshop or not, whether you're watching the replay, whether you're tuning live, your challenge for the week is to define your most limiting, most fearful comfort zone right now. Where do you feel unhappy in your life? What part of your life do you feel unhappy or dissatisfied? And what's stopping you from making change? What's stopping you from expanding that? And generally, when you start to ask those questions, you define your comfort zone. You start to understand your limiting beliefs. Your limiting beliefs are part of the walls of your comfort zone. You start to find out what your fears are. Again, the walls of your comfort zone, or your lack of self-confidence. You start to understand what lacking your self-confidence. So then when you understand it, you can start to fight it. You can get past it. You can get into that fear zone. You can fight, nail that fear zone, enter the learning zone, and then into the growth zone. So what are your limiting beliefs right now? Think about that. What are your fears? And start to define your comfort zone as this week's task. Now, define our comfort zone. So I'm going to work with you to define what you have. We're going to look at how to understand more our fears and limitations behind that. We're going to talk about how we can start to take risk and embrace change. So how can we really help you and hold you accountable to really bust and break that comfort zone that's keeping you limited, that's keeping you and stopping you from succeeding? Then we're going to look at a defined action plan with you. So what are your action plan going to look like to make sure that you get out of this comfort zone, you expand it, or you break it and you start to enter the growth zone? So that's what we're going to cover in 5 minutes today in detail. Not in my coaching, if you're not looking at week 11, which you don't want to get out your comfort zone because you're scared to be rejected. I'm going to talk a lot about that next week. So in week 11, this going to go back. If you're not in the Coaching Minds Hub, I'm going to drop this in the comments box now. I'm going to do a second. All the replays to and all the replays to all the sessions that we've done within here. So if you go into the hub, find my coaching room under the coaching rooms list, you can become a revolutionary. And you can start to gain and develop that revolution right now. So we've covered quite a lot, not a lot, but we've covered some important points. And just to sum up the key points from today, first of all is you need to understand what your comfort zone is, what your comfort zone looks like. You need to not confuse your comfort zone with a content zone. So if you've got feelings of happiness and peace in what you do, don't disturb it by unnecessary ambition. So understand whether it's a content zone or a comfort zone. Saman, thank you so much for tuning in. It's wonderful to see you here. Thank you so much. The replay is available in our Coaching Minds Hub and in the Wisdom Creators group too, so you can catch everything that we talked about. We looked to define our comfort zone, looked to understand whether it's a comfort zone or a content zone, and don't disturb our content zone by unnecessary ambition. We then looked at why we stay stuck in our comfort zones, from how we don't just have one comfort zone, but we have more comfort zones of tips and break this comfort zone, and that how we and then eventually into the lives that we want. And we're going to take this deeper into our way through. So I want to say thank you to everybody who's tuned in. Thank you, Adele, for sharing your win this week. It's absolutely wonderful. And I look forward to connecting with you in the workshop in 2 minutes' time. Or if not, I look forward to connecting with you in our next session where we start to look at how we can fight the fear of rejection. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you all very soon. Thank you.